So let's look at how to do CSS grid cell borders. Well, I should have figured that out. So we already added the grid cell and then took it out, but it's still there. So we can do a border. I think it goes solid 1 pixel, and we'll just do black to start with. And there we go. We've got a border around our cells. It needs to be offset slightly so that they join. You know what? We don't really need that grid gap. We can actually do away with that. That'll make our grid join together. That will also simplify our calculation. So now we've got everything together. We're getting an interesting effect of slightly thicker lines because our cells are joining together. Inside of the cells, we're getting slightly thicker lines. One way we can solve this, if they're not the last element, well, no, we could even do it if they are. We can just draw the border right on all of these. That will make that easier, and then have a border bottom on all of these, and that will make our borders thinner. What we can do is, instead of here, we can do a border right. And I think it's just this, right? And here we can just do $sign border. And here we can do a border dash bottom, $sign border. And we broke something. Border solid 1 pixel black. I know I'm missing something. Oh, you guys are probably screaming at me because I misspelled border. Border. Let's try that. And there we go. The problem that we've got now is that we've lost the border around the outside. One thing I would like to do is get this to be a lighter gray. And, you know, maybe it makes sense to just use a CSS variable for this too. So we'll go here and we'll just create border style. And then here, we do var border style. And here we can do var border style. So now we are back to where we were. What would be nice is to have a thicker border around the outside. To do that, I imagine we're going to have to use some nth child and do some styling on that. So what they were doing is they were wrapping a row with an element that was set to row and then styling that element. We could do the same where we wrap each row, but then we would have to figure out how to do columns. Actually, columns, we can just do nth child, right? Because these are all nth child and these are all nth child. Even though it's displaying in a grid, really they're just a long line of divs, and then the grid styling is what's making it look like a grid. We can style our rows by wrapping them with an element, and we can style our columns by using nth child. Or, because there's another thing that I wanted to do, is when we focus on a specific input, it would be nice if we could highlight this 3x3 grid, but also this row and this row, to kind of give nice visual feedback as you're working through Sudoku, to see, you know, when you're working on this cell, what will this cell potentially affect? Just some nice visual feedback for the user. To do that, what we could do is we could add special classes, and this class could be row 0 through row 9 or row 8, and then we would have column 0 through column 8. And then we could specifically target row 0 and give it a border top. The cells in row 0 could have a border top. And then the columns in column 0 could have a border left. And that would fix our issue. So when we go in here, we need to set two classes. Will this work? We can do row. Row dash y and column dash x. So now if we refresh this, we should see that this div, yes, has column 0 and row 0, column 1 and row 1. So our div now has what we want. We can target this class of row 0 and add a border to the top of it for our cell. So inside of here, we can do row dash 0. And inside of here, we can do Sudoku dash cell. And the nice thing about this is we can have a border style. And let's do, one thing I wanted to do was do like an RGBA of, we'll do 0, 0, 0, we'll do a 0.1, make it slightly lighter. The other thing we can do for these is give them a border width. And we can set our border width to be 1 pixel in the middle. Here we can do var border width. And here we can do border dash left, or nope, this is border top. See, what I was trying to do was be a little bit sneaky and set border width here to be like 2 pixels, which seems kind of cool from the start, right? Because, oh yeah, we can set the top border. But what this is going to do is it's going to override it for everything. And so if we come look, that's way too light on those borders. So this border style. And we'll make this maybe a 0.3. Let's go 0.2. That looks better. So the first thing we want to do is come in here and change this to be 0.2. It's trying to be tricky there, but it didn't do anything. Still not doing anything. So I tried nesting it. What this turns into as a CSS rule is row 0 Sudoku cell, which basically means anything called a Sudoku cell within row 0 needs to be styled. What it really should be is any class that is both row 0 and Sudoku cell like that with no space. To do that in Sass, we just add an ampersand here. Then I can show you the issue with resetting border width to 2 pixels. And it's hard to see right now, so let's make that border width slightly bigger. We'll set that border width to something like 5 pixels, something obviously bigger. And so now, when we refresh this, what is going on here? So this is border width at 1 pixel. If I set this to 5 pixels here, and we set this to 1 pixel here, you should get the opposite of what I was looking for. And that is not right. I'm wondering, because it's nested, if it's calculated at the time that it's done. Because if I do this, And for now, we'll just comment that out. Which is a nice thing that you can do in an SCSS or SAS file, is comment out your CSS like that. And this is what I was trying to show. And so if I move this down into the Sudoku cell, yeah, we still get the same thing. What I was hoping to do was make the top border and then the left and the bottom and the right border a little bit thicker, and then the inner borders thin. But for now, well, we can do that. Let's put everything back to the way it was. And we'll add an outer border width. And the reason that I'm adding all of this is we're looking forward to styling in the future. And so our outer border width is going to be 3 pixels, and our outer border style will be basically just a copy of this. But we will make this our outer border width. Let's make this our border color, and we'll grab our light gray. And the nice thing about doing this, as we've just seen, is that we can restyle things anywhere. So when we get into styling the highlighted row, we can change the border color, the border style, all of this stuff, and get a nice highlight, potentially even change the thickness of the border, do all sorts of nice stuff like that. You know, give the users a nice user experience without having to resort to a whole bunch of JavaScript to do stuff that we could do with just pure CSS, which is part of the challenge, right? Is to see how much can we do with just pure CSS? What kind of styling can we get? If we refresh this, well, we already had it. So our top border looks nice. Well, we'll do our left border, we'll do a bottom border, and our right border also. We can basically duplicate this a couple of times. So with column 0, and this border width doesn't make any sense anymore. With column 0, we're going to do our border left. With row 8, we're going to do our border bottom. And well, let's move this up. And then with column 8, we're going to do our border right. We now have a nice border around the outside. So what would also be nice is if we took that same border and we applied it within our 3x3 grid. The nice thing about that is we can come in and we can use the same border right class we're doing here. It should look fairly decent here and here. So to do the border right, we're going to apply it on column 2 because we're in a 0-based array, and we're going to apply it on column 5. This is the row 0 Sudoku cell with the border top. This is the row 8 with the border bottom. Here's our border right. So we can do, I was thinking about using like one of the for eaches, but really it just might muddle things right now. So we'll just do call 3, 4, and 5. We'll add the right border. And again, to do the bottom border, we'll do row 3. Oops, I need the dot. I also need the dot here. We need row 3, we need row 5, and row 8. And so now that's row 5. We actually wanted call 2, call 5, and call 8. And we also wanted row 2, row 5, and row 8. And so now if we look within our storybook story, we now have kind of a nicely formatted grid. It would be nice if we use these outer to be a different, maybe slightly darker color, just so that they stand out just a little bit more. With this light color, they tend to kind of blend in. So on our outer border, we're going to add also an outer border color, and we'll grab this and maybe we'll darken it up to 0.4. We'll make it twice as dark. Here we need to make sure that we're using the outer border color. And now when we look at the grid, things are slightly darker. The issue we've got now, we've got inconsistent spacing. Some of these things are smaller because we're using a border box sizing. And I'm going to have to think through how I want to solve that. It would be nice to just make all of these inputs the same size, the same height, the same size, and then just center them within the cell so that even if the square is slightly bigger, the other way we could go, because we're doing a 0.4, we could add a 0.2 to the left of 3 and to the right of 4, which would change sizing also. Just thinking through some different solutions here. But for right now, things are looking pretty good, but let's add some new functionality. Let's add some highlighting. So if I'm here in this cell, it would be nice to have this entire row and this entire column highlight, and then this 3x3 grid highlight somehow. What we need to do is figure out a way to add a class to these 3x3 grids. Probably the easiest way to do it is with some math calculations and using an ng class. Let's think this through. If we number these 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, how could we calculate this out using just the row and the column? So we want this to be grid 0. So if we took and we divided the row and the column by 3, if we took the row, divided it by 3, then these would be 0, 0, 1, and this would be 1, 1, 2. So if we divide it by 4, we would get 0, 0, 0. Then we would get 1, 1, 1, and still 1. That wouldn't work. No, because we're 0 based, we can divide by 3, because we're 0, 0, 0, and then it would be 1, 1, 1, and 2, 2, 2. Yeah. So if we took the row and divided by 3 and the column and divided by 3 and then added them, this would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That would probably do it. And we wouldn't have to resort to JavaScript. So let's try that out and see if I make any sense. So we're just going to call this grid, and we're going to do x divide 3 plus y divide 3. And then we'll check it out. And so here, if we inspect this, so we've got grid 0, 0, 0. Yep, grid 1. You should all be grid 1, grid 2. And then as we come back, we're still grid 0, 0. Oh, we got grid 1 here. Grid 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3. So it worked so well at first. And then, well, we could do x plus y divide 3, right? So if we look here, we're in column 0. Oh, it's a rounding error because we're at 2.333. We're getting ridiculous on these values. So we don't want to round. Well, the first thing, x divided by 3 plus y divided by 3 is the same as x plus y divided by 3. What if we do math.floor? But that doesn't work because we don't have the math variable here. So at this point, we need to add an ng class. So if we just do binding on ng class, and inside of here, we just do calc grid. And we just pass in x comma y, and it's complaining because we don't have this class, but with writer, we have the ability to do it. And this is going to return a string, and we're definitely not going to return undefined. We are going to the grid number is going to be our math.floor, and inside of here we're going to do x plus y divided by 3, and here we can just return grid dash grid number. We could probably just do a truncate here instead of doing it. Right. So now we come in and inspect, and we look again. Let's collapse this, and we are in grid 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, and then 0, 0, 1. Why are you a 1? You are row 1 and column 2. Oh, and 1 plus 2. Okay, that is the problem. So what we really want to do is truncate x divided by 3, and then we want to truncate y divided by 3. And the reason is that 1/3 plus 2/3 is 1. That is why you always code in front of people, so you can make silly mistakes like that. So in our grid, we are now grid 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2. Sweet. And we're 1, 2, 3. Oh, no. So instead of that, what we can do is we can do grid x equals math truncate x divided by 3. And grid y equals that. And here we can do grid x dash grid y, which is a smarter way to do it, because then we'll start with 0, 0, 0, 1. We want to flip these. Because then as we go across the grid, it'll start in the upper left-hand corner will be 0, 0, then 0, 1, then 0, 2, and then we go down, we'll get 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 0, 2, 1, 2, 2. So if we look at this, we are grid 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 2, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 2, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 2. And then we start here, we're 1, 0, which when we were adding them together, this became grid 1, which was the same as these two cells were the same, these two are the same, and this would be. Okay, so what was the point of that? When we focus here, or we're active here, what we can do is we can change the border color for the entire row that we're in. So how do we do that? So on hover, it would be nice to grab, or on focus, it would be nice to grab the row that we're in, to know that we're in row 0. So I need to think this one through a little bit. This will be a good cliffhanger. I need to do a little bit of thinking and a little bit of research.